Gentlelady yields back. Please recognize the gentlelady from New Hampshire for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Ranking Member Lujan Grisham, and thank you to Chief Tidwell for being with us today. We appreciate the time. I'm very grateful for the work that you do and to your Forest Service staff in New Hampshire and the work that we are focused on. One of the issues, though, is that I want to share some concerns with you, and we may have to leave for a vote soon, so I'm going to just cut to the chase if you'll. I'm usually much more polite. So the question, this is just in some recent conversations. I meet with my timber and lumber and home landowners frequently, and they were expressing a great deal of frustration about the forest management plans were not living up to their goals. And as I was listening to them, it just felt like a disconnect. You know, sometimes around here, you'll get one version from one group and another version from another. But it seemed that the forest management plans didn't necessarily reflect the reality of what is happening or what, frankly, could happen on the ground. And so I realized that there are budgetary and other constraints keeping the Forest Service from getting closer to meeting the timber harvest goals. But my concern is a little bit different. I'd love your response to it. I'm wondering if whether the forest management plans aren't based on formulas or guidelines that don't take into the reality on the ground: location, ease of access, species distribution, land use goals, and that really I'm an attorney, we call it a meeting of the minds, that we don't have a meeting of the minds laid out in that plan, and then we end up with this divergent expectations and people's goals are not being met. Could you comment? And is there anything that we could do to get people closer to actually having an understanding of the amount of timber that we can harvest from the land in a sustainable way?
Well, one of the things we need to do is to revise many of our forest plans. There's over like 65 forest plans that are way out of date. And part of that is that when we went through the first phase of planning, we looked at kind of like everything we wanted to do, and it was like there was no budget constraints, and we would actually lay out expectations about all the work that needed to be done, and we had a caveat in all of them that said, based on availability of budgets. Well, that all got kind of lost. And so as we go through with our new planning rule, one of the things we made the change is we wanted to talk about what realistic expectations, what needs to be done and what it's going to take to be able to do that, and to be able to project with some certainty the level of outputs that are going to be produced year in, year out, based on some realities, so that industry can use that to be able to make business decisions. Individuals can make that to make business decisions, whether it's with recreational businesses or whether it's with timber or whatever. So that's part of it. But that being said, your forest, like all the other states that are represented here today, there's a need for us to be doing more work there. And New Hampshire, I have to be careful when I use the term restoration, because they understand what that means from when these forests were acquired back in the early 1900s. They understand restoration and the importance
100 years
of that.
ago, we almost lost the forest completely, so we know.
You get that.
Yeah.
But there's a need for us to do more. And in your state, again, is a place where I'm talking with the forest supervisor. He feels that the Good Neighbor authorities are going to be an opportunity for him to bring some additional capacity by working with the states and with partners to be able to actually get more of that work done to produce that mix of benefits, which includes a need for increased timber harvest on your forest, to be able to maintain that health, keep the recreational settings, which are so important to your state and on that forest, but at the same time be able to maintain forest health, forest resiliency.
Well, thank you, and I want to extend my own invitation. You could do an East Coast, West Coast tour, but we'd love to have you to New Hampshire. And just to acknowledge the comment from my colleague from the South, bioenergy chips and pellets. It's a big a part of our landscape now, and you know, we want to create jobs, we want to have sustainable forests, but we want to make sure that we're getting what we can out of the forest for energy and all other purposes. So thank you very much. Appreciate your help, and thank you. I'll yield back.